بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Welcome to my channel تجويد and قراءات rules. Inshallah, in this course I will teach you Hamza narration. I will teach you Hamza narration in a very simple way. And I will teach you the rules and will practice in a very simple way in order to be able to recite Hamza easily. The Sakt on the sukoon before the Hamza. السكت على الساكن قبل الهمز. Hamza, both Khalaf and Khalad has rules in the sukoon before the Hamza. So he either makes Sakt or do not make Sakt in the following. The first, al, which is like, for example, al-akhir, al-ard. He either make al-ard with Sakt or al-ard normal as Hafs. Or for example, al-akhir. He either make al-akhir or normal, al-akhir. And the second, in the word shay and shay'an, so he sometimes make shay or shay in with Sakt, and sometimes make shay'in, shay'an normally with tahqiq like Hafs. And the third, in the separated, which is as-sakin al-mafsul. The meaning of the sakin al-mafsul, it means the sakin is at the end of the first word and the hamza is at the beginning of the second word. Like قد أفلح, عذاب أليم. Sometimes he reads like this with tahqiq, or sometimes he reads with Sakt. قد أفلح, عذاب أليم, like this. But there is a note that the first sakin should not be a mad letter. Like بما أنزل, there is no Sakt in the way of Shatibi. So this is the lesson that we are talking about it today. We will talk what are the rules of this, and when does he make Sakt in al or shay or sakin al-mafsul, and when does he doesn't make Sakt in them. Hamza, both Khalaf and Khalad, has two ways of reading. The way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon and the way of Abu al-Fath Faris. There is an important note that if you are reading with the two ways together at the same time, which are the ways of Tahir ibn Ghalboon and Abu al-Fath Faris, you have to start first with the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, then with the way of Abu al-Fath Faris. And we'll apply on all of this today in this lesson. Khalaf, when continuing, we will talk now what he will do when continuing on al and shay and the separated, which is the second al-mafsul. If you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris, you will make in continuing Sakt on al and Sakt on shay and Sakt on separated. So you will read al-ard, shay, and عذاب أليم. This is if you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris. Now, if you are reading with the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will make Sakt on al and on shay, but not making Sakt on the separated. So you will say al-ard, shay, and عذاب أليم normally like Hafs with tahqiq. So this is the rules of Khalaf when continuing on al, shay, and the separated, second al-mafsul. What are the rules of Khalaf when stopping on shay and al and the separated and the plural meme. What are the rules of khalaf? When stopping on al, if you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris or the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will stop with al-Naql and al-Sakt. So you will stop, you will say, if you are stopping, you will say al-akhir, al-akhir, both. The Naql first, then the Sakt. This is if you are reading either from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon alone or from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris alone. But what if you are reading with both way together? So you will stop first with the Naql, then with the Sakt. You will say al-akhir, al-akhir. This is the rule of al. What is the rule of shay for khalaf when stopping? If you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris alone or the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon alone, you will stop with al-Naql, then al-Ibdal and al-Idgham with Idgham. So you will say shaya with Naql and you will say shayya with Ibdal with Idgham. This is if you are reading from Abu al-Fath Faris alone or Tahir ibn Ghalboon alone. But what if you are reading with both way together? You will stop with Naql first, then al-Ibdal with Idgham. You will say shaya, shayya. What is the rule of the separated for khalaf when stopping? If you are reading from Abu al-Fath Faris alone, you will stop with Naql and Sakt. You will say adabun alim, adabun alim. If you are reading from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will stop with al-Naql and al-Tahqiq. You will say adabun alim, adabun alim, like this. If you are reading with the both ways together, you will stop with al-Naql and al-Tahqiq and al-Sakt. You will say adabun alim, adabun alim, adabun alim. If you are reading the plural meme, what are the rules of the plural meme for khalaf when stopping? If you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris, you will stop with the Sakt. Lakum anhara. If you are reading from Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will stop with at-Tahqiq. Lakum anhara. If you are reading from the both ways together, you will stop with at-Tahqiq, then as-Sakt. Lakum anhara. Lakum anhara. So these are the rules of khalaf when stopping on al or shay or separated or plural. Khallat. What are the rules of khallat when continuing in al and shay and separated? If you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris, so when continuing, you will not make sakt in al and you will not make sakt in shay and you will not make sakt in separate. So you will say al-akhir, shay'an, adabun alim. If you are reading from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will make sakt in al and you will make sakt in shay. So you will say al-akhir, shay'an. But you will not make sakt in separated, so you will say adabun alim. So these are the rules for khallat and continue. What are the rules for khallat when stopping? When stopping on al, if you are reading from the way of Abu al-Fath Faris, you will stop with al-Naql. So you will say al-akhir. If you are reading from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will stop with al-Naql and the Sakt. Al-akhir, al-akhir. If you are reading from both ways together, you will stop with al-Naql and al-Sakt. Al-akhir, al-akhir. What is the rules of shay? If you are reading from Abu al-Fath Faris or from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, you will stop with al-Naql, then الإبدال with إدغام. شيا شيا. If you are reading from both ways together at the same time, you will stop with النقل شيا and الإبدال with إدغام شيا. The separated. If you are reading from أبو الفتح فارس alone or the way of طاهر بن غلبون alone, you will stop with النقل and التحقيق. You will say عذاب أليم عذاب أليم. If you are reading from the both ways together, you will stop with النقل and التحقيق. عذاب أليم عذاب أليم عذاب أليم نقل then تحقيق عذاب أليم نقل then تحقيق. طب what are the rules of the plural meaning stopping for خلاد? If you are reading from أبو الفتح فارس, you will say with تحقيق لكم أنهارا. If you are reading from the way of طاهر بن غلبون, you will stop with تحقيق. You will say لكم أنهارا. So if you are reading from both ways together, you will read with تحقيق لكم أنهارا. What if you are reading with both خلف and خلاد at the same time, which is in Jama? This is advanced level. If you are reading with Jama with both خلف and خلاد together, when continuing, you will make the first row first. So you will read with Sakt in al and Sakt in shay and without Sakt in separated. Then you will read with Sakt in al and Sakt with shay and with Sakt in separated. Then you will read without Sakt in al and shay and separated. This is if you are reading with Jama, which is reading with both Khalaf and Khalad together. When stopping on separated or al or plural mean in case if it is alone in the ayah. If you are reading for both Khalaf and Khalad. If the separated is alone in the ayah, you will stop with al-naql, then al-tahqiq, then al-sakt. If al is alone in the ayah, you will stop with al-naql, then al-sakt. If plural meme is alone in the ayah, you will stop with al-tahqiq, then al-sakt. Note, Hamza doesn't stop with al-naql on plural meme. Exercises. Now we will apply on the tables that we talked about now. We'll apply from all the ways that we talked about now. But of course, you have the option if you want to read to choose a way from the beginning. And for example, if you start reading, you have the option to say, I will read now from Khalaf, from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalbun. And all your khatma do it in this way. Or for example, you will say, I will read from Khalaf, from the way Abu al-Fath first. And all your khatma, you will do it from this way. This will be easy. But if you want to read from Khalaf from both ways together or Khalat from both ways together, try to apply with B and A. Let's start the first ayah. يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. We have الأمر. This is the first thing we want to underline. فإن تنازعتم في شيء, we have شيء. فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر. We have الآخر and we want to stop on الآخر. We look on the table what we'll do for Khalaf. We are reading for Khalaf with continuing on Al-Amr and Shay and we want to stop on Al-Akhir. Now look on the table. On Al in continuing, Khalaf makes Sakt from both the way of Tahir ibn Ghalbun and Abu al-Fath Faris. In Shay, Khalaf makes Sakt on Shay from both the way of Tahir ibn Ghalbun and Abu al-Fath Faris. So you will read with Sakt on Al-Amr and Shay in continue. We want to stop on Al-Akhir. What does Khalaf do? Khalaf, in stopping on Al-Akhir, Khalaf reads with Naql and Sakt from both the ways of Abu al-Fath Faris and Tahir ibn Ghalbun. So you will read with Sakt in continuing on Al-Amr and Shay and with Naql and Sakt on Al-Akhir in stopping. So you will say وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر like this. Now we want to apply the rules of Khaled. We want to read for Khaled. What does Khaled do in continuing? In al and in shay. In al, he has two ways. Sakt from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon and without Sakt from the way of Abu al-Fatha Faiz. And in shay, he has two ways. Sakt from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon and without Sakt from Abu al-Fatha Faiz. We said in the lesson that we have to start first from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. So you will read first in continuing with the Sakt on al and shay, because this is the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. Now we want to stop on al-akhir from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. What does he stop with? In Tahir ibn Ghalboon, look at the table down. Khaled in stopping on al from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, he stops with naql and sakt. So you will read like this. وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ فَإِنْ تَنَازَعْتُمْ فِي شَيْءٍ فَرُدُّوهُ إِلَى اللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولِ إِنْ كُنْتُمْ تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر الآخر like this. What does Khaled do? The second way. Now we read from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. We want to read from the way of from Abu al-Fath Faiz. What does he do? He doesn't make sakt on al and shay in continuing. What does he do? Abu al-Fath Faiz in stopping on al-akhir? He stops with naql only. So you will read like this. وأولي الأمر منكم فإن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر. This is the way of Khaled. So, as you see, we look on the tables and we apply. Second ayah. إنا أرسلنا نوحا إلى. This is نوحا إلى. This is separated. قومه أن أنذر. This is also separated. قومك من قبل أن يأتيهم عذاب أليم. This is separated in stopping. Now we look on the table and apply. خلف. What does خلف do in the separated in continuing? In continuing, خلف makes without sakt from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon and with sakt with the way of Abu al-Fath Faiz. And we said that we have to start first from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. But what does خلف do in the separated in stopping? In the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon, he reads with naql and tahqiq. And in the way of Abu al-Fath Faiz, he reads with naql and sakt. Now we will read from the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon because this is the first way. So we will read without sakt in the separated in continuing, and when stopping we'll read with naql and tahqiq. So we'll say Nuhan. We'll say if without sakt first. We'll say Inna arsalna Nuhan ila qawmihi أن أنذر قومك من قبل أن يأتيهم عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم. So I read without sakt in continuing in نوحا إلى and أنذر without sakt, and عذاب أليم I stop with نقل and تحقيق. But this is the first way, which is the way of Tahir ibn Ghalboon. Now we will read with the way of Abu al-Fath Faiz. What does Abu al-Fath Faiz do in separated in continuing? He reads with sakt. But what does he do in stopping? He stops with naql and sakt. So I will read like this. إنا أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه أن أنذر قومك من قبل أن يأتيهم عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم. But this is the way of Abu al-Fath Hafiz, which is reading with Sakt in continuing in the separated and with Naql and Sakt one step. Now we will read for Khalad. What does Khalad do? Khalad in continuing, he doesn't have Sakt in the separated. What does he do in stopping? Both Abu al-Fath Hafiz and Tahir al-Ghablun in the separated in stopping, they read with Naql and Tahqiq. So he will read like this. إنا أرسلنا نوحا إلى قومه أن أنذر قومك من قبل أن يأتيهم عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم. So I read without Sakt in continuing in the separated, and in stopping I read with Naql and Tahqiq. عذاب أليم. عذاب أليم. ويمددكم بأموال وبنين ويجعل لكم جنات ويجعل لكم أنهار. Now we want to stop on لكم أنهار. This is plural meme. So you will look on the table. What does Khalaf do in stopping on plural meme? He stops with تحقيق then Sakt. So you will say لكم أنهارا. This is تحقيق. Then you will say لكم أنهارا. This is Sakt. This is Khalaf. Now what will you do if for Khalad? You will look on the table in stopping on plural meme. What does he do? He stops with تحقيق. So you will say لكم أنهارا. Please subscribe to the channel Tajweed and Qur'an Tools on YouTube to be updated with all the new videos, and please join the Tajweed and Qur'an Tools page on Facebook, Telegram, and Skype to receive the announcements and to know the schedule of the classes, to practice with me live, and to be able to download the material and the books. Thank you for watching. جزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.